everyone. So I know it's kind of late, it's about 9:30 or so, but this is like the only gap of time I have to do. I will be making up a video for last Friday since I just kind of blacked out that day. Anyways, so for today I thought it would be a good idea to go over what effects go really well on some drums, but that's going to be towards the end of the video. This video is going to be a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but I'll try and compress this as fast as I can do it. So for right now, I want you to listen to this wolf growl as I made last week, and just check it out. And there's a little bit of reverb on the snares, so check it out. So that's the base we're going to be creating. So let me get rid of this. Actually, let me just start a new reason template. It's been kind of a very stressful, well, a very fun weekend. It's probably the most fun I think I've had in a while compared to last weekend. Anyways, so right now we're going to right-click, create a combinator. And let's see, what should I, oh, okay. So the first thing I want to do is create a maelstrom. Make sure it's initialized. For our modulator A, we're going to turn it to a quarter, so about 25 or 26. For the rest of this, we're actually going to turn up the shift just a teeny bit, about 18 or so. And then for our second, our mod B, we're only going to turn up the rate maybe 70, maybe a little bit less than that, who knows. But filter, turn it about like 3/5 or so, 28, that should be good. And for our filter envelope, we're going to turn everything to the middle except for the sustain. So bring everything to the middle, clone the release, there. For our first oscillator, we're going to change it to VS waves. It's right here. Turn the motion all the way down to the bottom and take it down an octave and turn up the cent to maybe 3. Take down the decay, the attack, leave the sustain where it is. So far the release too. For our second oscillator, we're going to turn it to a Juno, which is very different. We're going to take it down an octave, and we're going to do the same thing we did with our envelope. We're going to take down the decay, attack, and release. And we're going to make both of these go into filter B. Make sure the shaper is on and this button is clicked in, so that way they route to each other. Turn it to saturate for the shaper. Turn the amount up like maybe 74. And for everything else, just leave the same except for filter A, take that down to about a quarter. And turn up the resonance a bit. And turn up the resonance on filter B. Now if we have a listen, also, I should mention before we get into our controller section that you mess around with your controls to do the wheel and things of that sort. So it's there, it's just very faint. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to turn the range down to 2. So now we can, I like to attack each section with of what to do. So turn up, for the velocity, turn up the envelope a bit, and turn up the filter a bit too. Okay, that should do it. Also forget to turn on the Juno. And actually, I like that, so I'll save that as a Neuro bass BA. That should work. Anyways, right click, create a, or control click, and create a screen 4 distortion. Turn it to bypass for now. After this, we're going to create a equalizer and a maximizer. For the equalizer, we're going to turn on low cut, 30 Hz. For filter frequency 1, turn it about 169, gain all the way down, Q all the way up. For parameter 2, take it about 3.4, gain down, Q all the way up. High shelf, take it about 3 kHz, turn up the gain about 2.3 and take off the Q. For the soft clip, turn the amount to 127, the release to auto, and the limiter off. Now if we have a listen, it takes off some of the low end, which is good. So when we turn on our screen 4 distortion, we want to use the damage control about 40. It's not going to really do too much right now because we're in overdrive. What we want to do is set it all the way to scream, set P1 all the way up, and P2 about 81 or so to the fifth click. One of the things I forgot to mention is in Maelstrom, make sure you have bypass instead of low pass for the filter A. Make sure keyboard on both, keyboard follow track is on both. Now you can add a little bit of extra. This isn't what I did for my last patch, but it's just some extra to get that more focal to come out of your synth. Let's turn up the auto about 10, and the scale, make it sure it's about 10 as well, and the reso, make sure it's about, I don't know, 25 or so. So there we have it. Now you have the wolf radar, and I'll save this as a patch somewhere on my desktop where I can grab it. But thanks for watching. So now you have this wolf radar that you can turn on with an arpeggiator. So I guess it can be used for dubstep. So if you're wondering about effects and how to use them correctly, I'm just going to do that over here on the right real quick and create a combinator. Create a, well, to do this very short, I'm going to use a Dr. Octorex. And now I'm going to just load up a basic, let's see, drum track. So we're going to use a dubstep, make it help. So right now we have our drum track, and I'm going to actually zoom out and copy it to our timeline. Take off the enable playback. Now if we have a listen, turn up the speed. It has these snares, but the snares aren't hitting hard enough. So after this, I'm going to create a soft tube. And I should note that the pulsar and soft tube saturation are free. So on our snare, we're getting a little bit of a reverb, but not too much. This is where I would like to open up the combinator too, the stuff that links all the way to the rack, and show for insert effects. I'm going to right click and create an RV7000 reverb. Take off the dry wet and show programmer. Now the programmer is much like the combinator in where you can assign all your knobs and everything. This is great because the effects that hit on your snare aren't going to be much louder, much longer. So I'm going to take the decay about halfway. For our rotary one, we're going to use master, and we're going to go to dry wet. And so I'm going to take the dry wet all the way down. For our button 1 for master, we're going to do enable. So now as soon as we hit a snare, we're going to turn it on only for that snare. So, you see. And I forgot to, no, it's plugged in. Let's see. Don't know. Rotary 1, that's correct. Button 1. Max should be 1. Oh, 2, sorry. Oh, it's just going on and off. Okay, so yeah, set it, for button 1, set it to 0 for the min, and max is 1, so that way it's always turned on. So every time the snare hits, we'll be able to use this in our drums. So I'm going to right click, use edit automation, go down here to the session view. I'm going to draw a line, and every time that we'll hear a snare, we're going to draw in a bump. And I'm actually going to override this with my keyboard. So every time it goes up, it should hit. So let's have a listen. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to double click. I'm actually going to go and edit, go to song, and zoom in. And use R for razor to cut out a section every time the snare hits. That doesn't lead into another, how would I say this? That doesn't lead into another area that it's not supposed to be in. Like when the drum head hits, it's not going to use the reverb. So you got to learn, it's kind of like an art. You got to know when to use the reverb at the right time. That could have gone a little bit farther, so I'm going to go in here and edit it. Use E for the eraser. There we go. Now we should have a better one. So, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys Wednesday.